Welcome to the Pipes. We're going to try this again because we are trained professionals. Welcome to the Pipe and Tobacco Talk podcast, where the discussion promises to be sort of interesting, the production quality a bit low, the humor offensive, the tobacco's pretty darn good, and all of the pipes well above average. We're your hosts, Tim from Papa Bear's Pipes, and I'm Jim from Emerson Southern Forged.
Hello,
Good evening,
everybody.
Tim.
Yeah, hey, how you doing, Jim?
You know, I am just living the dream. It was a great weekend. We're going to get to the Columbus Pipe Show here in a minute. But, you know, I wanted to thank, so Ben, our producer, manned the Emerson Southern Forge booth at the Columbus Show and did a fantastic job. Well done, Ben. Congratulations. So you did a sparkling job. And we'll just kind of jump into the What's New segment. It's been a busy week this weekend. I did That Sort of Weird podcast last night, and that's up and loaded. And now I'm here sitting here talking to you. So we should have a fun day.
Yeah, your life just keeps getting
All right.
worse.
So I'm going to go into What's New. Yeah, isn't it fun? Wow, it's just like a train wreck. It just unfolds every day. It's like, oh, look, there's another car derailing.
Slow moving train wreck.
So I got two pipe. That's right. And Ohio's had enough of those in the recent past. So I wanted to talk about two blends I got from Cloud Bear 69V on Instagram. One is called Gnome and one is called Fairy Garden. They're both aromatics, and you all know that I am not the biggest aromatic smoker. I do smoke them occasionally. I do make a couple, but they're not my favorite. However, if you get the chance to pick up Gnomes, it's one of the best aromatics I've ever smoked. I fell in love with it. I went from a 2-ounce jar to just a little bit left. It's absolutely fantastic. I really enjoy it, and Adam at Cloud Bear did a fantastic job with it. So
Yeah,
that's new
Adam
here.
will,
And then the
Adam
last
will
thing,
tell
and the
you.
last...
Sorry, Jim. Here we go again,
No, go
talking
ahead.
over one another. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
Adam will tell
it's
you
fine.
that all of his tobaccos taste better if you smoke them in the bathroom. Okay, laugh
Okay.
track.
Now,
Yeah,
I don't know about you. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I have put on the Golden Band of Happiness, and
yeah,
that would shatter the band. We do not smoke in the house.
yeah.
She doesn't even like for me to have a pipe when we walk the dog on the evening dog walk. So I've made a couple of blends just for her so that she doesn't, Does it have Latakia? No. Does it have Perique? No. Okay. Do you want to smoke it? Not really. I'm just doing it to humor you. And then the last thing, in the last episode, Mike from Pipe and Tamper asked what piece of equipment we needed for the shop. And I was kicking it around, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and order it. And I ordered one of the big, heavy industrial leaf shredders from Leaf Only. I sent Ben a picture. If he can edit in the picture, that'll be great and put it in. If he can't, it's a leaf shredder. It's on Leaf Only. I haven't got to try it out. It just came in Friday. I got it unpacked. I got it put together. And this week I'll be shredding some of the 25 pounds of leaf I've got to get done. So fun times. All right. Anything new? Did you pick up any new pipes or any new tobacco at the show? Tim, you're muted. Congratulations.
Technical difficulty.
Again. You've got two old guys doing a podcast. This can only go well from here.
Hello.
There you are. You're back.
Tokyo.
All right.
All right. So I got, I'm here to help, by the way. I got a special blend that they put together for the 30th anniversary of the North American Society of Pipe Collectors, 1993 to 2023. And this is a Balkan blend. And as you know, that's right in my wheelhouse. So picked up a couple of tins of this. I gave one to Harrison, our friend who was at the show. And so I'll go ahead and mark this, and I'll put it in the cellar, and I don't know, try it in a week. That's usually how long it
Because
takes me to.
the extra 7 days are going to make it better. So
I just, I don't have, delay of gratification is not one of my strong suits.
no,
The
no.
other thing that I got some Navy, it's McClellan from 2001. There's a young guy there that had some tobacco, was trying to move it. I think his wife wanted new furniture or dishwasher or something, so he had to produce some cash. And so it's Navy Cavendish. And so it's a 2001. This one I will dig into and
Yeah.
enjoy that. The other thing that I picked up there, and I smoked it a bunch, both Friday night and uh, Saturday, and then again today when I took the dog for a walk. Let me put a card up here to see if it there we go. So there's a young guy who's under the tutelage of Premalchetta in Columbus at
Mm-hmm.
Buckeye Briars and Smokers Haven. His name's Tanner. We'll put his the link to his contact information in the description below when we put this up. But and I'm doing that because I can't pronounce his last name. But anyway, Tanner made a very nice pipe. It's a sandblasted Anse. I've made a lot of Anse pipes, uh,
Mm-hmm.
shoemaker's kid going barefoot. I don't have any Anse pipes. This baby smokes beautifully. It's nice and light, and I really enjoyed it. So he's a new guy, doing a great job. He's only been at it about 6 months, and I had a lot of people that bought pipes off of me when I was brand new, and I want to support a new guy like that. So nice guy. If you get a chance, look him up and see what he's got on hand. Um, so those are the things that I bought at the pipe show.
All right. Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. So let's get into the Columbus Pipe Show. So you went, set up Friday. It was Friday night from 5 to 9, and then 9 to 5 Saturday, correct?
Correct. Correct. Yeah, it was very, very
Okay.
busy
So,
Friday night. Uh, Very busy Friday night, and uh, heavy, heavy crowd in there Friday night, and just kind of backing up a little bit here. Jeff Knoll said that the subscriptions for tables for vendors were close to 50% over what they were last year. So a lot of vendors there, a lot of
wow.
tobacco.
Wow.
Um, uh, I don't know, just by observation, it looked to me as though there were probably more, um, uh, I guess, retailer type vendors there than they were, say, for
Mm-hmm.
example, at the Muletown show. Um,
Okay.
the Saturday morning, um, it was very busy until about 11 o'clock, and then it really tailed off. About lunchtime, people went out. It's a beautiful day. A lot of people were sitting outside. They had expanded the patio, put tents up over it. We went out there Friday night to try to enjoy a little bit of tobacco and some bourbon, and it was standing room only. Um, really well attended. It was a good time. Um,
Oh, okay.
the
All right.
I think the in this particular show there was a lot of tobacco that was moved. That's my observation, and I think your your tobaccos are an example of that. A lot of people looking for good tobaccos, and so I thought it was a great show. Weather was beautiful. It was a great time.
Oh, wonderful. Now, did you get to see any celebrities at the show?
I did. I did. Yeah. Um,
Or, well, let's keep that a
that's
secret
it.
then.
That's all
That'll
there
be
is.
good.
That's all there is about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
because you sent me a picture of Mutton Chop Piper, who's just
yep.
a legend in the pipe
Yep.
community.
Yeah.
And he was with Dan from Ohio Briars. And you're doing a show this weekend at Cigarro, correct?
We are,
Where's that at?
okay. So the show is uh, Dan Reese and I from Ohio Briar uh, will
Hmm.
be featuring Emerson Southern Forge tobaccos and a sample of our pipes at Cigarro Cigar Lounge in Hubbard, Ohio, and it's from 12 to 4. It's a really neat place. They've got it's an old house that they converted into a cigar lounge, and so you've got lounges on 2 floors, multiple lounges, and TV room, a couple of bars. They do a great espresso. They've got great selections of cigars. Uh, they want to start offering pipe tobacco, and he looked us up, and so we're going to do that this Saturday from 12 to 4. So anybody listening to this, if you get a chance and it's within driving shot, come on out and enjoy a good time. Plenty of
All right.
bourbon and beer and food and good tobacco and great fellowship. So it should be a good time.
Excellent. All right, let's get back to celebrities at the show. I've seen a couple of videos posted already. I know that Nate and Justin from Pipe Spores and Pals were there. I also saw a picture you sent me of Garrison Keeler, who is kind of a favorite of both of us. We both like Garrison Keeler from the
Yeah,
Lake
yeah, he
Woebegone
was there.
days, his radio
Right,
show
right,
and his books.
right.
Did you get to talk to him at all?
Just a little, and uh, it was quite a Lutheran. I would call it a Lutheran conversation. It was enlightening and
All
enjoyable.
right.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
then we as you said, Nate and Justin, Brian Levine was there. Uh,
Okay. Oh,
from
excellent. From the
yeah,
Pipes magazine.
Pipe Magazine and podcast and oh just off the top of my head, that pretty much covers it. Yeah. So you celebrity or not, everybody in the pipe community is very approachable and great guys to talk to, guys and gals, and just we had a very relaxing, enjoyable time there.
Oh, wonderful. So, who did you share a pipe with on Friday night when you're out in the in the smoking area?
Mr. Richard Epley, um, we stood and talked for a
Okay.
bit. He and his beautiful bride were there, and my grandson Ben and I sat there, and we traded jokes. Um, Jason
No.
Patrick
All right.
was there, and Premel was there. Geez, there are a number of guys from Rob Summerall, and there's sort of a cabal that follows him around, and all those guys were there, and we were able to
his
enjoy some,
his entourage.
his entourage, right? Uh, yeah, so as I said earlier, it was very, very crowded. So you kind of got a niche and you kind of didn't move because your spot was going to be taken by somebody else if you moved. So,
All right.
but
All right.
uh, he's a great guy, and we had a lot of laughs together.
Yeah, and Richard is from EP Pipes. We talked a
EP
little bit about
Pipes,
him last week. You and I both know him
right?
fairly well. Yep.
Yep. He's a
He
nice guy too.
does some of the
If I
more
could add,
interesting pipes.
exactly. And
Yeah, go
he
ahead.
graciously gave Ben a pipe. Uh, Invited him over to his table and just asked him to pick a pipe out.
Really?
I thought that was pretty gracious of him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look at Ben adding to his pipe collection by doing nothing more than showing up. That's the life of the producer.
That's right. That's right.
Excellent, excellent. Now, I've heard from a couple of people that the attendance was much larger than last year And in fact, Beans316 mentioned in his video today that all the tables were filled, that there wasn't an open table. Pretty much everybody showed up, and it was a full house.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. And it was in some respects it was kind of tight, which is good. You want you don't want to be able to shoot a cannon off in there. And having the tighter proximity of the tables, it slows people down, gives people a chance to stand and talk for a little bit. And with the pipe shows,
Okay.
the primary objective, at least for me anyway, is to just to get to know people, meet new people, get to know them. Many
Mm-hmm.
people filled out the entry card. We're at the end of September when we do our Bears Den newsletter, and that goes out to the folks in the subscribers. We're going to be awarding this olive billiard to a winner, and every quarter we give away a pipe to a lucky recipient.
Maybe we should tell people about that.
Let's
we
do
should
that.
probably
Okay,
tell people
great.
about the Papa Bear Den's newsletter. Every quarter we send out a newsletter. Tim and I put it together. Tim writes an article. I write an article. We talk about whatever pops into our head, kind of like this podcast. And Tim gives a pipe away every quarter. So if you'd like to join the mailing list to be on that, please go to pbhbp.com, which is Papa Bear's Pipes website. There's a link. Just click it and put your email address in, and we'll get you on the list.
That's right. And once you're entered, you're always entered. You don't have to keep submitting an entry every quarter. The database continues to grow. It's just that the pool gets larger, but your name's always in there. Once you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
And so every quarter we'll do that. And then if you, with the email address, the winner will notify by email. So after once we issue that newsletter with the winner's name in it, also look in your email inbox to see if you're the winner. And again, this quarter's.
No, we're not using
I'm sorry.
Absolutely gorgeous olive wood billiard, spectacular pipe.
Yep.
We're not using telepathy to notify the winners. I mean, that's kind of disappointing.
No, I found that doesn't work very well. Not a great success rate there. Yeah. You would think otherwise.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Now, did you get to walk around and look at any of the artists that were presenting? Any of the other pipe makers? Anything catch your eye?
I tried as much as I could, but man in the table is when people come around and they want to talk pipes. I want to be there to do that. But I did get around. Joe Skoda had a beautiful display of pipes. That guy is an absolute artist. Skoda Pipes. He's from New York, upstate New York. Does a fabulous job.
All right.
Just amazing stuff. The quality of the pipes that are there just blow me away. A lot of times I think I'm progressing, and I know I am, but geez, you get around and you see some of the work that these other fellows are doing, and some of the ladies that put out product. Some of the finishes they're able to achieve, it's just really amazing. And the interesting thing too is, if you're a new pipe maker and you're listening to this podcast, go to a pipe show, because most pipe makers will help you. If you have a question.
All right. That's excellent advice. And I think the Instagram Pipe Makers Club is much the same way. I've heard a lot of good things. Now, I'm not a pipe maker, so I don't participate in a lot of the chatter that goes on around it. But it seems like everybody that's participated in it they're all willing to share information, and I think that's just the graciousness of the pipe community.
Yeah, I have
these
to
are
agree with
fantastic
you.
people, and yeah,
Yep.
all right. So, is there anything that really like a new style of pipe or just something different? I know that you brought out your calabashes, which is I'm absolutely in love with them, and I think you're gonna have to put one in the mail for me. Um, but did you see something that somebody else had come up with that just jumped off the table at you and said, "Man, I think I can make one of those"?
Uh, for me, this time, I it shows I always focus seems on uh, a certain aspect of finishing, and some of the work that I saw, for example, Levon Irk had uh, a number of pipes there, and I was really interested to see how he incorporates the uh, the grain direction, pardon me, in the shape of the pipe. Now, that's nothing new, but the way that he does it is really interesting, and both from the standpoint of uh, smooth finishes. A lot of his pipes have multiple finishes on them, combination of blasting, um,
Hmm.
rustication, shaping, smooth, curves, just a variety of things. And he always uses, maximizes the direction of the grain. So he will take the grain, and you know how when you're making, for example, a billiard, and you want the grain to run vertically, um, from the bottom to the top and be even all the way around. Well, he'll take um, uh, that orientation and move that, change that so that um, the grain is the straight grain is kind of sweeping diagonally across the bowl, and then use that
Hmm.
um, and accentuate it with shape. So I thought that was really interesting. And the other person that has really been influential in, I think, how I will approach finishing, especially with smooth pipes, is Joe Skoda. He's got a method. There's some materials that I need to get, some buffing materials that I need to get that he gave me the name of. And I think what I'll do is, rather than share it now, I'll try to employ what he described to me and see if I can make it work out, and then I'll share that, rather than share it now,
All right.
because there's uh, a couple of different layers of application to the buffing process that's required in order to get this glass, just a
Uh,
beautiful glass like finish. So those are the things that I picked up
okay.
there. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me ask you a question about pipe making. Are there different grades of carnauba? Do they vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, or is it fairly consistent across the landscape?
I really can't answer that question. I don't know. I have two blocks of carnauba, and I use them. Uh, one's small and it's worn down. I bought them from two different sources, and they seem to work the same. Um, I'm
Okay.
starting on the new one, so that's a very good question. I don't know. So if anybody has any comment on that, drop it in the comment section when you listen to this podcast. Uh, be happy to hear what you have to say. Good question.
Okay. Well, now I have a finished question. I have a finished question. So I've
I don't
done,
understand Finnish.
I don't know,
Oh,
probably.
oh, you mean you're going to say it in English?
Yeah. Well, okay.
All right.
I could try Norwegian. I could sing you Ghost Riders in the Sky in Norwegian if you
Please
like,
don't.
but that'll take a while. Um, I've refurbished some estate pipes, and so when I was reading about it, I use Fiebing's leather dye. I like the way it
Yeah.
looks. I like the consistency of color, but a lot of the better pipe makers don't use Phoebings at all. They use the oils. What's the difference between the two for you?
They don't use the Phoebings. They use what, an oil dye?
Yeah, or the oil finishes.
Okay. Okay. Well, for me, when I first started out making pipes 3 years ago, um, I would slather on the dye just straight onto the pipe and kind of hope for the best. It's a learning process on how to use dyes and oils to do it so that uh, the coloration, you're able to pick up subtleties. So uh, you know, a pipe that is has had the dye applied to it, the briar. You got two types of grain. You've got a soft grain and you've got a hard grain in the block. The soft grain is going to absorb the dye, and
Okay.
the hard grain is not. And uh, what I do if I'm doing a contrast dye, for example, and I apply a dark stain, a dark dye to it. Uh, the next step is to sand off that layer of dye to reveal the soft grain that has held on to the application of dye, so you get that contrast between the hard and the light grain.
Okay.
And then uh, in applying, then coloring over top of the contrast dye, um, what I found is if I dilute the dye, dilute it a lot, and go in layers and slowly bring the color up, I have I have better luck with it in terms of it turning out not blotchy, or you get too much on and then have to take some off and just having a miss. Now, if you contrast that with just just plain Danish oil, as far as the eye appeal of the finish, just plain Danish oil, what that's going to do is sort of the same thing. It's going to darken the soft grain is going to take up more oil than the hard grain, and it'll show up a little bit better. Um, Show up
Okay.
more than it did before the oil application. I've also tinkered around with tinting the oil, and that creates a pretty interesting effect too. If you tint the oil, it's good. The soft grain still is going to take up the oil, but it's going to take up the tinted oil. But the tinting that you put in by putting some dye into a bit of oil, it raises
Mm-hmm.
the color of the soft grain more slowly, so you can keep adding layer
Mm-hmm.
after layer until you get it how you want it. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, Jim, but that's been my experience with the comparison of the two.
Okay. No, that's perfect. Because I've gotten out of restoring pipes. When I was, for those of you that don't know, I had my Achilles surgery and I had a boot on and had to keep my leg elevated from like May to January. So I had to have hobbies and fun, and I started restoring. I'd buy estate lot pipes from eBay or any place that would mail them to me, and I played around at it. Anything that I could do sitting down. I discovered that I enjoy it, but I'm not great at it. So whenever I can talk to somebody about that kind of stuff, I always ask questions. So excellent. So let's go back to the Columbus Pipe Show. Anything else struck your fancy? Anything else that you saw that's worthy of a conversation?
I did. Uh, there was a gentleman there, and I'll put his name in the in the description below, that I bought some rod off of, and it's a die cast lucite, It's black. I'm going to give it a
Mm-hmm.
try. Um, and Eric Mills was there and turned me on to a supplier for some Fordite, and they're pen blanks, but they're the right size, and
Mm-hmm.
the price is right on them. And that stuff can be pretty expensive. And sometimes when you get it, it comes in a flat chunk, but they're not uniform, and you have to. There's a lot of waste on them. These seem to
Hmm.
be pretty uniform, and they look like
Okay.
you could saw them up into chunks and go to work with them right away. So you figure if you've got
Okay.
a 5-inch blank, and it's $40, $9 a throw. If you cut it by 3/4 by 3/4, that's uh, pretty decent value. So
Okay. And
that was good.
okay. And for those of you that don't know, Eric Mills is EMC Custom Cobbs. Uh, he didn't get to go to the pipe show this year. He just had surgery on his distal something or another. He tore a muscle in his arm, and he's just now getting back in the shop this weekend. In fact, he posted his first pipe back today, and he does custom cobs and some other things, and they just spectacular pipes. I've got a collection of them, and full disclosure, I do make some blends for Eric periodically when he needs a blend. In fact, we just brought 2 new ones out for him. His last go round, Washington's Respite and Jefferson's Narrative, which were both vapors. So there you go.
Right. I
Excellent, excellent.
got
Anything
I
else?
got a
That's it.
I do. Tim Wiggins on Instagram sent in a question. Um, and
All
it's
right.
it's a good question. It's regarding the need for having a pipe cleaner pass from the stem to the bottom of the bowl. He says that's been a hot topic lately.
Mm-hmm.
His question is it truly necessary for a pipe cleaner to pass all the way through a pipe? For example, a lot of umpals have trouble passing the pipe cleaner, but many people love them, including myself. Thanks, guys. Love the podcast. So, Jim, what's your thought on that?
Um, I like when it can, but I always take the pipe apart when I clean it, so that's not really critical to me. And I do have a lot of full bent pipes, and uh, they don't. The Oompals, the full bents, kind of struggle with that. And
Yeah.
then I do like 9 millimeter filtered pipes. So when you have a 9 millimeter filter in, that's not going to happen. So you've got to take it apart anyway. Um, for me personally, I don't think that it's as critical an issue because, again, if you're going to clean the pipe and you're going to run a pipe cleaner through it, I'm going to take the pipe apart and do it. That's what I do after every bowl that I smoke. Take it apart, clean it out, put it back, try to restore it back to as close to original as I got it, and put it up in the racks behind me. So,
Yeah, I get both sides of it. I'm for personally for my use, I'm more in your camp. I take pipes apart and clean them. Um, and frankly, for me, if it draws okay, I don't particularly care whether a pipe cleaner uh, passes all the way from the opening of from the bit all the way down to the bottom of the bowl. Now I do
mm-hmm.
have pipes that you'd think that for what they cost, it should uh, pass like that. I think from the market demand perspective, I think that's sort of an expectation that a quality pipe that's a measure of quality, I think, precision. And
Okay.
I think to some extent in people's minds, it means that the opening at the end of the tenon matches or mates up properly with the draft hole in the bottom of the mortise and the stummel. But it's
Okay.
not absolutely necessary to have them made up perfectly in order to get a good draft flow. Uh, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I've got some that you just can't, not straight. But if what I found is if you take a pipe cleaner with a bent pipe and maybe you've got the openings are off just a little bit. You still got good flow and it smokes fine, but it's off just a little bit, and the pipe cleaner just kind of bottoms out there. You just take a look at it and see where that how it's off, and then just take the end of your pipe cleaner and just put a little tiny bend in it and put it back down through there. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times it just like that or with a wee twist, and it'll pass right through. So, from a
Okay.
building perspective, that's I've heard it enough that uh, I, from a standard of quality perspective, I want to have my pipes pass a pipe cleaner. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but for me personally, with pipes, it really doesn't matter to me. So,
Okay.
so for
Well,
what I sell, I want them to, but for what I own, I don't care.
okay. So I've got a pipe from Pipes by Woo, Garrett, another friend in the pipe community, and I'm going to run the test. And look at that pipe cleaner. If you can see, I put it up there.
Yep.
Pipe cleaner all the way
Yep.
through. It's not a
Yep.
very long pipe, but it goes all the way through. And I will take a. Oh, look at this. What do you know? A Papa Bear's calabash, and I'll do the same test with it and run it through, and it sticks just a little because I bent the pipe cleaner. Let's run it through. Huh.
Drum roll.
Yeah, it catches, and I don't know if it's the pipe cleaner, but this, because of the calabash, the depth of it, you can see where the. And now I've bent this into such an angle that it will never clear. Well, let's get another pipe cleaner, Tim. We have lots of those. Let's try one more time. And it's gone dark on Tim's side. I think he's lost his. But again, that's I take the pipe apart when I clean it. So to me, not germane to the argument. At least it's not for me. If it does, great. I never clean a pipe that way. So, if it smokes great and you're happy with it, be happy with it.
Yeah.
This is another. This I think this goes back to a lot of the pipe community. That people like some tobaccos and don't like others, and people want them to pass a pipe cleaner, and some don't care, and nobody's right and nobody's wrong. It's just all part
Yeah.
of the fun of being us. There, and he's back.
Yeah. And again, in regard to that subject, if you've got comments on that, drop them in the comment section here. I'd like to hear from it.
Yeah, if there, and again, if there's anything you'd like to talk about or like to hear us talk about on the show, please let us know. Leave us a comment below. You can email us. Everybody, we've talked about that, and we'll put that in the how to reach both of us, and we'll happily answer any questions you have. So,
Yep.
and Tim
Absolutely.
sent us another question, and I'll ask you, and then I'll talk about it. So Tim asked, when preparing tobacco to smoke, pipers talk about dry time and letting tobacco sit out 5 to 30 minutes. Is this step necessary, and will the drying the tobacco decrease the taste of tobacco? Tim, your thoughts on that?
I don't think so. I think it comes down to the quality of the tobacco, perhaps. Anytime I've left tobacco out, you know, if I'm drying it on a tray while I'm working, sometimes I'll lose track of what I'm doing and it'll go too long. Especially if I have like
Mm-hmm.
fans going, the windows are open or something like that, it'll just dry too much. I just put it back in the jar and let it pull the moisture back up and then start again. I hate having the
Okay.
tobacco like too dry, like tinder. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, uh, uh, anytime I've had tobacco that's like extremely dry, uh, I just put it back and get it back to about the humidity that I like, and then um, kind of start again.
Okay. All right. So, Tim, to answer your question from my side, I do dry the tobacco. Now, here in Colorado, because there's less oxygen, I'm at 6,000 feet here in Parker. It has to be dry, or you'll be relighting it every time you forget to take a puff. It's just the nature of the beast. And here's what I'll tell you about the drying time of tobacco. Moist tobacco and heat is an excellent recipe for tongue bite. And from my perspective, a little drier is better than moist, if that makes sense. And it's a personal preference. Some guys take it right out of the jar, put it in their pipe, smoke away, and they're not wrong. And some guys take it out. I know that Eric at EMC Cobbs, he and I have had a couple of discussions about it. And he takes it out and puts it in a tray, and he'll leave it for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, and then smoke it. And he likes it that way. Personally, I like to take it out. So my morning routine is I will get up in the morning, I will take the tobacco out, put it in my tobacco tray from Tinker's Pipes, shameless plug, and let it sit until I've taken my shower and gotten dressed. Then I'll load the pipe up and off I go. And sometimes it sits 20 minutes, sometimes it's 30. Just depends on how quickly I'm moving. And the older I get, the longer it takes. And go from there. And that's kind of how we look at it. It's personal preference. But again, moist and heat gives you tongue bite. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. And if I can add,
right. Excellent. We do have...
There's a sort of a tactile measure that I use, just touching the tobacco. I can kind of tell. I don't go anywhere but Ohio. So I know by feel whether it's too dry. And it's easy to tell that. And if it's too wet, I can tell that. So sort of the just right feel of humidity. I kind of know what that is. And there's a range in there. But it's got to have a little bit of moisture. Can't be too dry for me, but too wet, like you say. It's just you're going to get all that bitterness if it's too wet, and your pipe's going to taste like crap, gurgling, etc.
Yep. All right, excellent. Well, we've talked about the Columbus Pipe Shows. Talk about the stuff you've got. I'd like to talk just for a few minutes about a pair of tobacco blends. I haven't released them yet, but they're ready to go. So the first one is Bahia Tranquilo, and it is just a mild, sweet English that I've fallen in love with. In this blend, it has, and I'll pull up the list here so I don't have to pretend that I know what I'm talking about. It has Latakia, Red Virginia, Perique. I'm starting to use more of the Tennessee, Kentucky Dark Fired, which I really like, Dark Burley and Black Cavendish. It is just a mellow, kind of magical smoke, and I really like it. So I'm going to put that on the blend list and go with it from there. And last week on episode 1, I talked about doing honeyed rum. Well, the blend that I came up with that I really liked is called Bonnet's Armada, and I used the honeyed rum on it, and it is yellow and red Virginia, bright Virginia, Latakia, Samson, Stoved Red, and Perique with the honey rum, and it is right in our wheelhouse. It is just, it's just something so different. I won't call it an aromatic. But it just has a very interesting, unique taste, and it's very mellow, and it's one that I can see being an all-day smoke for me. In the tobacco world, everybody's always on the quest to find that one tobacco they can smoke for the rest of their lives. I'm not that person because I just enjoy variety way more than I could stand. But I do like tobaccos that resonate, and Tim and I are both Latakia fans. We both like Perique. But this is something, it was just outside of what I normally do. And this honey that I've got is breathtakingly spectacular. And with the rum, Bonnet's Armada is something amazing, and that'll go on the next blend list. So
Cool.
that's what's going on in the tobacco world. Well, that and some shredding and, some other stuff. Got a round of packages going out, but other than that, fun times. Ben, the producer, did an amazing job at the Columbus Pipe Show, talking to folks about the Emerson Southern Forge brand, and I really appreciate that, Ben. Thank you very much. And other than that, we
He'll
have
tell you.
one last question.
He'll tell you that he learned a lot over the weekend.
All right.
He's was able to talk to a lot of people he didn't know about something he knows absolutely nothing about. And he did. Everybody was very gracious to him, and of course, we had the blend list there, and the samples. That was a big hit because you got everybody a chance to open it up, have a smell. Some people that wanted to try it, take a pinch out, put it in your pipe, go outside and smoke it. They come back in and bought tobacco. So he learned a lot. He's beginning to learn the pipe business, I think, and he was a big help to me over the weekend.
Excellent. Well, the way you described it sounded like a congressional hearing. Here's people that don't know what they're talking about being asked questions by people that don't know what they're talking about. So he's ready for a life in politics.
I'll kill him. He does that.
Well, and the other thing that was kind of exciting. So I worked with Nate and Justin at Pipe Spores and Pals, and I made them a vapor blend based on what I thought they'd like. And the first one I made, I sent it to Jay Furman, and Jay and I both thought this is a really good vapor. And neither Nate nor Justin liked it. So I went back to work on it and found one that hit the mark with them. And they were out giving away samples of it at the show, and the blend is called Pipes, Pours, and Periques, or Pipes, Pours, and Perique. Yes. The ability to speak clearly. Boy, that's fun. And they had samples at the show, and I'm anxiously awaiting to see how it went, how it was received. But I was excited to do that for them. That's the highlight for me of tobacco blending, is when people call up and say, hey, can you make me a blend? I had a conversation Friday, or actually Thursday, with KM Pipes, the pipe that I posted it on Instagram the other day. And he called me up and says, I'd really like to get a blend. And we talked about it, and I gave him some ideas, and he says, yeah, let's do it. It went into the press yesterday and should be ready Thursday or Friday. And I'll send it off to him and see what he thinks. He's got to come up with a name on it. So if you're watching, you need to tell me what you want to name this thing, or I'm going to name it, and you're going to be surprised. Because my naming abilities are run from the I can't pronounce that to I don't even know what that means. So careful what you wish for.
Right.
All right.
Well,
I have one.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Keep talking over you.
No, go ahead. We're fine. We're friends.
Yeah.
We do this.
Yeah. Just a couple of new things. You'll be seeing some new pipes using exotic woods. I got a fresh shipment of some cocobolo, just a number of different exotic woods. Off the top of my head, I can't name them. But and then take a wild guess what this is. That is a chunk
Is that a Meerschaum
of,
block?
No, this is fossilized whale spine. And this is the actual fossil. It's got it's porous, so this will go into a vacuum tub with some cactus juice. Probably start on it tomorrow, and we'll draw a vacuum on it for 2 or 3 days to get all the air out of it, and then stabilize it with that. And then it's time for the wet saw to cut it up and begin using it for accents on pipes. I've been wanting to do this, and I
Oh,
found a guy that
wow.
had a piece of it reasonably. So we give it a run. It's nice, nice slice, actual whole vertebrae. So so
Wow.
there's that. Yeah.
That all right. Now in a new segment, this is called "Things That Piss Me Off." So I've been talking to some folks, and I was thinking about making Cavendish, and I bought a pressure cooker. I got the pressure cooker, got it taken apart, got it set up, ready to go. And in the instructions says make sure that if you're using an electric range top, that it can hold, and I think it was 74 pounds is what this thing weighs when it's fully loaded. So, of course, I had to check the stove, and no, this old stove will not hold 74 pounds in my rental house. It will hold 55 is its max. And I just wanted to scream. How do you goof like that? So now I have this really cool pressure cooker sitting in my pipe and tobacco office that my wife thinks that I'm criminally insane. Let me ask you this. So Tim's wife's name is Anita and my wife's name is Diane. When you get a box that has fossilized whale in it, does she look at you like you're criminally insane?
This September will be 43 years. She stopped looking at me like that 20 years ago. So,
Oh, okay. Oh, so
yeah.
you've got this well under control. All right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. You do enough,
Yeah.
you do enough crazy shit, and eventually they just stop looking at you.
Okay. Because,
All right.
this week I got some whole leaf in and got the leaf shredder, and they all happened to show up on Friday. And I got home, and my wife, Diane, and I've been married to her for 33 years now, or it'll be 33 years this year. And she looks at me and she goes, "What's in the packages?" "Oh, it's pipe tobacco." She goes, "How much pipe tobacco do you need?" All of it, I think is the correct answer. Not sure. And she goes, "What's in the really heavy box?" "That's a tobacco shredder." "How many tobacco shredders do you need?" "Well, this is the big one. This is the last one I need. So we're good." Yeah, she's not quit looking at me like that. I think I've failed as a husband. I haven't made her shake her head and walk away yet.
That's how you know you're doing it right. I do I do have a solution for you, perhaps.
Oh, okay.
Turkey fryer. Try a turkey fryer.
Tim, I have one. I have the Butterball deep fried turkeyer. I got one of those 5 years ago for Christmas. And you know
You're
what's
all
great
set.
about those deep fried turkeys? If you've never made a low country boil where it's potatoes and corn on the cob and shrimp and sausage and heavily spiced. It's a thing that was popular in South Carolina, but they do it all over the place, called different things. It's a low country boil. And it's just a spectacular way uh, to make food. And you can Google it. I'm sure there's 300 videos on YouTube about it. But yeah, I've got one of those Butterball turkey fryers, and we did. Gosh, what did we do? 2 years ago, we deep fried a turkey for Thanksgiving, and it's really really good. And I didn't burn the house down, so bonus points for that.
There you go. Well, that'll definitely take the weight and might get the job done for you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right. So we have one final question from the audience, and it's from Cloud Bear Adam. And of course, I said nice things about him earlier in the show, and this is the question he's asked: how much wood can a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Tim, any guesses on how much wood a woodchuck could chuck?
I think it's the answer is the sound of one hand clapping.
One hand clapping? Okay.
Yes.
I was going to go with two chords just because, we'll give him a number. So between the two of us, it's a cord of wood, Adam. So thank you for asking that hard hitting, excellent question. All right, so we're coming up on just about the 1 hour mark. You hung around with us this long. We greatly appreciate you listening to the podcast. Tim and I will be back next week, and we'll talk about the Cigarro Show, and we'll talk about some of the new stuff and what's going on in the pipe and tobacco world. And I'll have a couple of new blends, and I've got some new blending ingredients that hopefully I get shredded by next weekend.
Great. Thanks for dialing in and giving a listen. Thank you.
All right.